let's hand over to Nono. As I mentioned, she's a commercial farmer, agriculturist. She's a lead of our Agribusiness Network at African Leadership Academy. She's a TEDx and public speaker. She's built a remarkable career. She's got her own company, Growth Shoot. She's a director of the Agricultural Development Agency, and she's a tax practitioner and investment specialist and financial advisor, and a squash champion. I don't know where she gets her energy from. To me, she's a superwoman. I work with her and I'm completely blown away with what she achieves on a weekly basis. Please give a beautiful welcome to Nono Sekhoto. Ladies.
Hi, everyone. Hi. This has been interesting. Val, thanks for the invite. Happy to meet you all. It has been nice to also just hearing some of your points, and at least I know who's in the room. And so, yeah, I'm excited about this. So ready to go. So, yeah, I'm going to try and make it casual. If you want to ask a question, I'll look in the chat. You're welcome to, or else you can just ask. I mean, I don't know how Val wants to do it, but I'm pretty easy. So, yeah, so I think I appreciate Val's opening remarks about how incredible I am. She says, the one thing I'd like to ask all of you guys before I continue is, this is a trick question. So how old do you think I am when you look at me? Write in the chat so we can see who can get to the closest.
35.
23. Okay, two more. Okay, great. Well, thanks, guys. Those are great numbers. And the closest person, let me see. So the closest one is Katlego. Katlego says I'm 35, but you'll have to add another 5 years because I turned 40 this year.
Oh my God, I was close.
So yes, that's it. So I always just want to start with that because I know people always, a little bit, they have, as you can see, think I'm young, but I think what I've found is that the minute I start talking to people, people can see, can hear from my experience that there is a little bit more age than, the 20s. So, and just to give you some insight around my journey, and hopefully you guys can learn something from it. And I'll use the 4 principles that we've all learned for. Thanks, Tiro. So I'm going to give you a few. So I'll use the 4 points that I've just heard from Val, because I also listened to the video, and then I also thought about what are the things that have happened to me, around those 4 points that can really, really just resonate with especially a younger crowd, and then also just to see if you can relate and understand that, things don't happen in big blasts. Those few moments that you have in your life can really be impactful, and only when you look back can you realize. So reflection is also very important. So finding a purpose, it's true. You can't sit down and just like, that's my purpose. It won't just come to you like once off. And for me, finding my purpose, which I now believe I have, after I've been working for almost 15 years now. So after working 15 years, after varsity, so, I've been an adult for a while, and only now I can almost see the purpose that I'm here for kind of forming in my head. And it's still not perfect, but I also I kind of understand where I'm going. But I think because this is very career oriented, I'm going to also give you a few ideas of how I actually came towards that. And the first point of call I always say is about knowing yourself. I grew up very different to most of my friends. I always do things a little bit different. I always explore things differently. And with that, at some time, it gave me a bit of an uneasy feeling because I felt different. When you're younger, being different seems not like the right thing to do. But only when I started actually developing my career and sharing all these different experiences did people then look up to me and be like, wow, that's so inspirational. So the point I'm making there is that you've got to understand who you are and embrace who you are, because you never know who you actually will be impacting in the long run, never mind just yourself. So celebrate the talents that you have. And I'm going to give you an example of how it is that I got to actually understand that actually it's okay to be different. So when I first started working, my first job, I thought to myself, I actually wanted to be a stockbroker. I've seen it on TV and it looks so exciting. And I was just like going to be this high-powered stockbroker. And so I interned, which is very important, you know, going into internships and you're going to understand what it is that you are going to do. And I had the opportunity to intern as a stockbroker for a year, a full year, to really understand what happens. But at the end of that year, I then looked back and thought to myself, I can see how I'm going to make money here, but it's just not going to work for me. Two reasons. The first reason was the fact that I had to sit in front of a laptop and call people the whole day. That's what a stockbroker does. And I thought to myself, no, I want to be out with people, because that's the one thing that I identified about myself, is that I actually enjoy connecting with people. I enjoy speaking to people. I enjoy meeting new people, and I enjoy traveling. I enjoy being in many different places at the same time. And so I approached my manager, you know, in the second year, and I said, you know, the stockbroking job looks great, but I'm not so sure it's for me. What else is there that I can do that will allow me to travel, to get out this office and then meet people? And that's something that I said, and I didn't even know such a job existed. And it turns out I could be a financial advisor. And what a financial advisor is, I could use my other skill, which was numbers. So those were the two things. My interpersonality and my numbers were my biggest skills at the time that I knew about. I knew this from high school. I knew it in university. And this was something I was sure about. And I was able to actually get the opportunity to be a financial advisor, where I'd connect with people so that I can actually share with them what I know, which is finance. And people used to feel like, oh my gosh, this is so easy. And so for me, the purpose at the time was really to explore who I am and to literally celebrate my talents. And so as the journey went, I then had to understand, okay, how else can I extend on this on this purpose finding, right? Because, you know, when I left financial services, so I did financial services for a good 7 years. And when I left, it was because I just didn't feel so valued when I was in that space. I was struggling with my managers, and, you know, I felt like I was just pushing way too much to show my value. And that's when I had the opportunity to move to agriculture, and I worked at the farm with my father. Now, of course, everybody was like, oh, there goes Nono again, doing some weird things. What are you doing at the farm? You know, it just seemed really weird for everyone. And then I remembered my purpose. My purpose was to make sure that I can add value. And, you know, adding value to my father as a financial person to a business allowed me to actually shine the first day. So it wasn't, I didn't go there thinking, oh my gosh, I don't know agriculture. What am I going to do? I thought to myself, I know the value that I have. How can I go and extend that? And I think for me, that allowed me to keep finding a journey of actually finding my purpose. So to cut a long story short, having been in agriculture for the past 10 years now, leads me into the second part, you know, which says you need to invest in information gathering. So finding my purpose was actually part of that too. When I arrived in the agricultural sector, I knew absolutely nothing about agriculture. I mean, if someone had told me 5 years before that I was going to be a farmer, I would have laughed at them. It was just completely unheard of that I was ever going to be a farmer. But the mission that I undertook was that I needed to learn and understand and see and explore and make a valid reason for me to actually remain in the sector. Or I could say, okay, I tried it, didn't work. But I think my attitude about the possibilities and the fact that I was open enough to learn opened me up to opportunities I could have never dreamt about it. So just to let you know, before I worked at the farm, I used to work at Investec. And I used to think I had like the best job, you know, working at Investec. It's all cushy and I had made it. But in all honesty, I was just a little person, just working, you know, along the corridors. Nobody really cared about me. Hence, I eventually, you know, left. But when I started working in agriculture, I started seeing all these opportunities. Now, I'm not saying it was, you know, all rosy and all of that, but I think being open to your possibilities and be willing to actually explore what you're good at allows you to be in spaces that will probably be good for you in the long run. And that's what my journey was. So, I mean, I traveled the world. I got to I met the Pope, by the way, just to give you this. I mean, I don't know how this happened, but I met the Pope along my work, and I would have never happened if I was sitting at, like, you know, in Santon somewhere. So being a farmer and being in this space that was completely new, and also be willing to share and willing to learn and willing to build new relationships allowed me to learn things I could have never really, I could have never known were possible. And I think and that for me is about, you must have that spirit of wanting to learn, always. Be open to new opportunities. Don't be stuck in just one way of thinking that when you were 10, you always wanted to be a doctor and a doctor does this. You know, yes, you can be a doctor, but there's a variety of things that you can learn that will be able to allow you to, you know, use your skills and talents at a later stage. So just to then give you a synopsis of what it is that I actually do. So as I started as a farmer, that's all I know about agriculture. But the work that led me to do what I'm doing today, which is what I believe is my passion, is that I then realized that I could still use those skills that I had, which was interpersonal connections, you know, being able to connect with people and being able to speak to people. And so as Val mentioned, I'm able to bring people on this journey that I'm going through, which is developing young people in agriculture. So in general, that's the work I'm doing. I didn't even know this existed. Do you know what I'm saying? I didn't even know how I got here. It just so happens that while I was following what's inside, and because I was a young person who started in agriculture, and realizing that, hang on, how do you support young people in agriculture? Nobody supported me. I then realized, hang on, this is a huge gap. And so, but I could have never known that had I not actually participated in the events and the work that I did. You know, I attended fellowships in the US. So I've done a lot of work around understanding what are young people actually dealing with and actually struggling with. And it's also quite personal as well, because I went through it. So for me, I feel like the work I'm doing today, which is running the lead for AL for Agribusiness, which is we're finding ways to support young people in building careers in the agricultural space across the continent. I feel like I was literally, I could say, born to do this, because the last 10 years have prepared me to be exactly where I am. And as I said, this was not a journey I was aiming for. I was looking at what inspires me and what's inside of me on a day-to-day basis, on a short-term basis. And now finally, I think after 10, 15 years of being in this career, that I can say this is the purpose I'm here. I'm here to help young people to understand agriculture and to have access to opportunities across the continent. That's my mission. So then networking and building a village. I cannot stress this enough. Relationship building in any space is the most important thing about who we are as people. And so, I see questions. Geez, I've just been distracted. Let's see. No, says about yourself. Okay,
carry on.
Oh, did you go to school for agriculture? Did you learn on the job? I learned on the job, but I did do a few courses. So my focus has always been around management. So when I did my course, it was around managing agribusiness. So I didn't do production. So I literally would hire someone who does the production, which is maybe the planting or looking after animals. So we have a farm in the Free State, and we focus on cattle. So my business partner is the one who does the cattle hands-on. You know, she's the one who's the farmer, I'd say, and I'm the business owner, but I literally learned to manage a business, which is an agribusiness. Being able to articulate your mission so clearly, thanks. Corporate finance. Okay, I'll talk to the corporate finance as well towards the end. So just to then hop on to the relationship building and building your community and your village, so they say. So in the video, it obviously speaks around the importance of having specific people around you. So my journey is, I'd like to give you a little bit of thoughts around how I see that. Two things. One, you've got to be able to know that there's a variety of relationships that you need to build on, and all of them matter. It starts from your family. So the relationships you build on your family, because the support you're going to get from your family, regardless of how successful you get, regardless how bad things are, connections and relationships with your family are critical. And the second one is then, the second level of relationships is obviously people around you, your peers. The people, I mean, I'm still friends with people I went to school with in high school. And I still have very specific conversations with them around support, around opening up opportunities, around friendship. I mean, friendship is also obviously very, very important for mental stability, never mind anything else. So to me, friendships are always important as well. And those are things that you need to make sure you're nourishing and making time for. The other types of relationships are obviously professional relationships, where you get mentors and mentees. And for me, I've found that, you know, my family, as I said, is my number one. So my mom and dad are probably my biggest mentors, my biggest supporters, my biggest fan base. Like they go around advocating for me wherever they are. So to me, that is the most important. And then I've also found, though, stories around how I've met people randomly that have literally come into my life at the most oddest of times that I would have never, ever imagined. So just to give you another example, in 2014, I went to I attended a fellowship in Oklahoma State University in the US. And there was a professor there, Professor Edwards. Dr. Edwards was a fantastic guy. He was the one who organized the program. He looked after us. He introduced us to a whole lot of different businesses so we can learn about what we were doing back home. And over the years, I've kept in touch with Dr. Edwards. And now and then, he always sends me little notes about, you know, work that he's probably read about that's here in South Africa. I mean, he literally will just share something out of the blue. And now, you know, it's just so enlightening that, how many years is it now? 6 years later, a professor I met for 1 month, I literally was there for just a month. We have been able to keep in touch over the years. But let me tell you what's even more scary is that in the last 6 years, I've probably met 6 people randomly, others on Facebook, others that I've reconnected with, and others that I've met through ALA. They actually have been his students. Now imagine when I tell someone that I've, you know, I don't know this person, I'm literally meeting them for the first time, and then I tell them that, oh, you went to Oklahoma State University, I was there. Do you know Dr. Edwards? That connection that you make with someone when you share something that you both know about is just amazing. So, and so this is what I always say, like, nourish the relationships and also watch how you are yourself with people, because you just never know who you're going to meet in the different circles. So that's what I'd like to share around building your networks. Relationship building is number one in anything. Then, keeping your eye on the big prize. Trust me, this could be a lot of hard work because we're focused on the now, and it happens. You know, it's to me it's actually quite. You've got to be very intentional about it, because we're always also told to stay in the present. right? That's also a very good thing. Be present, appreciate the time where you are. And a lot of times, sometimes where we are doesn't feel so good because you're going through a tough time. And so you want to get away from that, right? You want to like escape from what's happening right now. So you either think about the past or, and then you compare it, or you think about where you want to be and it seems like, oh, I'm not getting there. And I think being focused on your bigger picture enables you to keep just remembering what this that you're doing today is all about. If you can see that what you're going through, how hard, how easy, how fun, if it's not aligned to what you think your purpose is, then maybe you should, you need to find a way to not actually be in that space or not be in that realm. And I know that's something that's it can be quite difficult, I won't lie. But just to give you an example, so over the last 10 years, as I've mentioned, I've been a farmer. There's been a lot of interesting times where I said I've traveled the world. I didn't need to pay. People were always inviting me to come and speak. I've been to Europe, and everybody just thought I had like the best life, because obviously you're posting on Facebook. So obviously just people are seeing good stuff on Facebook. But in reality, on our farm, we're going through a very difficult time. Farming is very difficult, and we had a very big project that we're running. And so for me to be able to, stay in the game to okay, I need to focus on, okay, I'm doing this trip now, but I know that there's some travel back home. All those things can get you distracted. But in all honesty, the one thing that kept me going, and the reason why I'm still in agriculture now, is because I knew that the opportunity for me to keep impacting on young people's lives in agriculture was that important to me. I thought to myself, hang on, all this hard stuff can actually help someone one day. And just that thought of taking what I'm going through now and thinking, hang on, this can be seen as, something positive for someone else, allowed me to stay focused, because my mission is to find ways, channels, understanding, opportunities, how it is that we're going to support our young people who are going to get into agriculture, because I really believe that there's so many opportunities in here. But in all honesty, it is not easy, but it is necessary, because I would not be here working at my best job if I had literally just thought, agriculture is just so hard, I'm going out of here, it doesn't work. So, it is it's what's the word? It's still pretty aspirational. In all honesty, the work I'm doing also inspires me, because I get to see young people who are doing really incredible things in the spaces within an industry that's hard. And I know how hard it is. And so that's why I am driven to keep going. And that's why I always need to remember my focus, my big picture. So before I literally keep going, I can speak all day about this, so all night. So let's then, let me see, I see questions. Let me address some. What is your view about dealing with toxic relationship and people? How do you define such relationships or people when you do draw that line? Yeah, toxic people are everywhere. They are everywhere. But, in all honesty, in my space, I've always been able to kind of rid myself of them, because I, in some level, I always put myself first. Sometimes we're told that, oh, you need to be considerate. Yes, I'm very considerate, but I definitely have a line that I draw. So I don't make judgments on people who come first. So anyone who comes to me is already on a big positive, but it's also very important to protect yourself. So go through your experience and learn from your experience. If someone has treated you a certain way, learn from that and understand that that is that person. Sometimes some people you can't get rid of, right? Maybe a colleague who doesn't treat you well, you can't get rid of that person. But I think once you have accepted that this is who this person is, just know how it is that you need to operate when you're around them. You don't need to be nasty back. If I don't advocate for that, But I do think it's important for you to know and learn from the experience that people share and how people show you who they are. And don't forget that. But also don't change yourself just to show somebody else what they need to see. Keep being yourself. I see another one. I'm in corporate finance too, and it's challenging, as you mentioned, but more than anything, I love motivational speaking, women empowerment, growth in our finance. Nice. Yes, finance is just, it's special. And also we use it everywhere. And that's why I have been able to actually, be kind of stand out in the work that I'm doing, because when I got to the farm, I learned to understand, the business through finance. So using the skills you already have is really a good talent that I think we all need to have. Don't throw away what you've learned already. I see I'm in need of help today. Just recently started my own farm project. Oh, wow. In Frankfurt, Free State. Hey, that's where my family is, not far from there in Cornelia. And it's very difficult, but giving up is not an option. Yes. No, so inspired by the leap and bounds most young people in the industry are making. Can you kindly advise on the branding and marketing tools that have worked for your business? So it very much depends on the commodity that you're with. So I'm in cattle. I almost don't need any marketing strategy to get access to markets. And that's because cattle is, there's markets everywhere. It's easy to get in. But if you're using if you're maybe planting specialized like herbs or whatever it is, your branding is important, especially if you need to get into the market. So, but as I said, Val can give you guys my details, and you're welcome to chat a little bit more. There's a lot of work that that you can do in terms of marketing tools and accessing marketing tools for your business.
Any more questions, ladies, please?
Okay. Wow, I think I did well for time.
But I'm sure there got to be a few more questions. Anyone else would like to ask anything? No? I think you covered the. Oh, here. How did you finance the farm? There you go. Milk has asked.
Oh. So we had a different journey. So my father actually accessed the government program. So he had money, and government also supported him to have money. So there's a variety of ways for you to access farms. There is obviously going through the departments. They have different programs. It's not so easy because different provinces have different processes, so that's not straightforward. But you can also access. You can rent a farm, so you don't always have to own. And it's very easy to find rented farms. You literally can Google rent a farm in your area. You'll find quite a few. It's not as hard as people imagine it to be. So. That's for Milka. And then Tandokolo, ladies, please do not forget to switch on your cameras. Okay.
With you, ladies, come on, please turn on your cameras so we can show some flowers for Nono, please. Come on. Flowers. That's what we do to Girls for Girls. We show flowers and we say thank you.
Thanks, ladies.
Hold on. There's all the cameras on, ladies, please. Please. Difficult, I know. Let's one more time. Love, tell us when you're ready. Here we go. We're nearly there. Rebecca, Velebohile. Okay, one more time. Here we go. Thank you so much, Nono. That was absolutely amazing.
Thanks, everyone.
Any other questions? Anyone else would like to say anything? Any comments on some of what Nono said? I'd love to know your feedback, ladies. Simpiwe, you on mute? Did you want to say something? Okay. Anyone else? Esther, go ahead.
Thanks, Val and Nono. Congratulations on the journey. I can only imagine how difficult it must be. I've always loved farming, but I'm always scared of it because of everything that I've said. I felt like, you know what, it's something good to do, but it just takes another set of brains to do. But I think you kind of simplify it, but at the same time, you're not making it sound like it's just something that you can grab and go. it takes a lot of commitment, energy, but I think with what we're doing now in G4G, taking us through the journey, and there is the talent. I always believe that you all have got multiple talents and they're all there. God don't have just given you one talent. We just need to find a niche to grab them, nourish them, hone them, and get someone to take the journey with you. So I believe you will be hearing from a lot of us around here. And if it's not your calling, hey, you can make it your calling with people like you holding us and making it better. Thank you very much. It's very informative and all the luck. Thank you.
Anyone else? No, we appreciate your time. I know how busy you are, so I really value you coming here this evening. Thank you so much.
Great. Thanks, Val. Thanks for the invite and lovely meeting everyone, and all the best with everything.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.